Hello and welcome to this video provided by Fudgelearn on Oracle eBusiness Suite. I'm going to be talking specifically about the key financials changes in Release 12.2, and there's plenty to talk about, believe me. But before we get to that, let's first consider what people are thinking about in respect of the release. They're considering the impending deadline, but also they're weighing up the upgrade costs and risks. The deadline for upgrading to Release 12.2 and remaining on Premier support is December 2021, which sounds a long way away, but the reality is it isn't, and it's getting ever closer. There's no denying that upgrading is a costly business. So what kind of costs can we expect? Well, in my experience, having previously worked on a number of upgrade programs and also supported Oracle eBusiness Suite instances, I've found that there are some key costs that tend to crop up each time. The first one being people. So we're talking about people that are needed to be involved in the project. So they might be people that are working in business teams, but they have specialist skills and knowledge, and they might be needed for user acceptance testing, for example. There might also be a need to deliver training to people in the business. So this might be if there's new functionality that's being delivered as part of the project. And this means that obviously people will be spending time away from their desks. So the focus will be switched from delivering day-to-day business and BAU activities to a focus on the upgrade project, which again is another cost to the business. Some companies find that they haven't got the in-house skills and capabilities that are needed to work on an upgrade project. Or it could be that they're just that busy delivering BAU that they can't release staff to be involved. So what do? They have an additional cost in that case by bringing in an external company or professional services organisation to help out. They'll help out with specific project activities like a risk assessment or an assessment of upgrade requirements, or they'll provide additional people to work on the project itself. Fudgelearn have a wealth of experience of working on upgrade projects. We might deliver a training needs analysis to help an organisation understand whether its staff have the right skills that are needed for the project or whether they need some additional support and training. Or we may deliver a training programme to help staff understand the changes that are happening on the upgrade. Another key cost that I've seen on upgrade projects is the cost of new IT infrastructure. You might have a server that's reaching end of life, for example. So it makes sense to do the replacement and install at the same time as your upgrade project, because then you're actually minimizing the amount of testing and checking that you need to do. Another cost to the business is the lengthy downtime that's involved with upgrades. In my experience, having worked on upgrades previously, downtime would generally start around midday on the Friday, continue over the weekend, right through to midday on the Monday. This is obviously a significant cost to the business, but a necessary one. So what are some of the risk factors that need to be considered with an Oracle eBusiness Suite upgrade? There's always the danger that you're going to introduce new bugs or issues. You can try and mitigate this by performing really thorough testing, but there's never any guarantee that you will pick everything up. Upgrades often introduce new functionality or different ways of doing things. And with that comes the risk that you might need to overhaul your business processes and how you actually perform some actions within Oracle eBusiness Suite. This can be quite time-consuming and also require additional training, which is obviously another cost to the business. I can't talk about upgrade project risks without mentioning the current coronavirus situation. It's totally unprecedented, and organisations will never have delivered an upgrade in these circumstances before. Some of the things that need to be considered are things like teams now working remotely and distributed, and also the fact that there is a risk that project team members may suddenly go off sick. So it's really important to think about these things and plan for them and mitigate them. A clear understanding of upgrade costs, risks, and benefits is imperative if you want to make an informed choice about whether to upgrade or when to. Fudgelearn have a wealth of expertise in this area and have previously been involved in helping to write business cases to support a decision to upgrade. So, Oracle eBusiness Suite Release 12.2. What's it about? Or more importantly, what is it you need to know about it? It's actually been around for over 7 years, so it's not that new. And one of Oracle's key messages about this release is that it enables the online patching capability. The online patching capability introduced in Release 12.2 is a major improvement for business functions. You know that lengthy downtime I mentioned earlier? Well, that's now a thing of the past, with downtime reducing to say overnight rather than, as I saw previously, downtime happening from midday on a Friday, continuing right the way through to the following Monday. Patches will be applied, but they won't take effect until after a restart of your eBusiness Suite instance. So that means that if you normally do a restart over the weekend, a patch could be applied on Saturday, say, then on the Sunday evening, when your eBusiness Suite restart happens, the changes will come into effect after that. So that means that on Monday morning, when your users log in, they will see the new functionality and any changes that have been applied as part of that patch. You can also choose which patches to apply and when. So, say for example, you're upgrading to version 12.2.4, which is actually what we would recommend as a minimum, but you want to only use new ECC functionality. So you want the enterprise command centers and dashboards for payables and receivables, which are available at version 12.2.9. Then after you've done the upgrade, you can then apply the patch specifically for ECCs at version 12.2.9. which gives you a lot more flexibility around what specific functionality you apply and when. Also, it's a step on the journey to cloud. It opens up that option if it's the direction that you plan to head in the future. There are a number of versions of Release 12.2 that you can choose to implement. We would recommend that you complete an assessment of the new functionality available in each version and the potential benefits for your business. Fudgelearn can help you with this if you need support in this area. So your options start from version 12.2.3, which was released in September 2013, through to the latest version 12.2.9, released in August 2019. We would recommend that you go for version 12.2.4 as a minimum, then take on any additional patches for other functionality that you would like to adopt. For Oracle Financials users, there's a whole host of benefits that you can gain from Release 12.2, and I'm going to take you through these now. So let's talk about general ledger changes available in Release 12.2. The key change is around general ledger approvals and the new integration with the Approvals Management Engine, or AME. This integration is available from both Release 12.2 and has also been backported to version 12.1.3. This means that there are two separate patches available dependent on which release you are on. The integration enables greater flexibility, but also greater complexity of approval hierarchies. Approval rules can be defined for different scenarios, say for example, combinations of ledger, entered amount, or approval level. In addition to this, journal attributes such as use category, account, or even descriptive flex field information can also be used. There's another big benefit, which is that journal approvals can be actioned in parallel. This means that, say, around period close, when you've got high volumes of journals being created, these can be approved much quicker. In version 12.2.4, there are two new GL capabilities. Firstly, there's the extension of restrictions for creating manual journals via Web ADI for third-party control accounts. Third-party control accounts are general ledger accounts posted to by sub-ledger applications. So, for example, Oracle Payables or Receivables. So you wouldn't normally expect to have manual journals posting to them in any case. Also at this version, there is the ability to use a single mass allocation formula to produce allocation journals for all ledgers within a ledger set. For cash management, there's one key capability which Oracle is making available at release 12.2. And this is relevant to you if your organisation receives a daily bank account statement and your bank is using the real-time gross settlement service to provide the statements in the format of a Swift MT950 message. March 2023 has been set as the date for the replacement of the old MT950 file format, and from that point onwards, the new CAMT.053 format will be used. This is going to provide a global standard for account reporting. Oracle are including compatibility with the new CAMT.053 file format in release 12.2.5. So for organisations using cash management that will be affected by this, some work will be required, with the options being to either upgrade to eBusiness Suite Release 12.2.5 and use the new file format available in that release, or alternatively, develop or buy a file conversion routine and remain on the current eBusiness Suite version. The benefit of moving to the new file format for daily bank account reconciliations is that you will get a much richer amount of information coming through on the files. This should help you with your bank account reconciliations, and it should also help with fraud detection and reporting. If you want more information on this, there's quite a lot of detail on the Bank of England website, and I've provided links to this at the end of this presentation. However, if you opt to go for a file conversion routine or develop one in-house, then you need to be aware that once the new RTGS service is live, the CAMT.053 messages will contain much more information than the previous format supported, and they will also contain some additional fields. So this means that if there's a significant amount of activity on your bank account for a particular day, the new service will send a single larger CAMT.053 message rather than multiple MT950 messages. This larger, richer message won't translate back directly into a single MT950 message. So you need to bear that in mind and perhaps tailor your development work accordingly. This slide shows an example of the CAMT.053 daily bank statement file format and is available on the Handelsbanken website. A link to this is available at the end of this presentation. For Oracle payments, there are some changes available at release 12.2 that it's worth being aware of. The first of these is at version 12.2.2, and this is the introduction of a new payment acknowledgement import report. This report will contain information for bank received files about import acknowledgements and also acknowledgement details such as payment status and any bank reported errors. The changes to the real-time gross settlement service are also being made available for Oracle payments in this release. In version 12.2.4, Oracle are providing functionality for the ISO 20022 framework, And this means that for Oracle payments, there will be a capability for customer bank accounts to have multiple payment direct debit mandates, and that these will also be able to be prioritised. Also, for direct debits, there will be the capability to produce Common Global Information or CGI format direct debit initiation messages, along with the bank status report. Also in this version, there will be the ability to process funds disbursement acknowledgement files sent by the bank for managing Single European Payment Area or SEPA credit transfer exceptions. Finally, in this version, there is the capability to search for or create customer and supplier accounts using IBAN numbers. For Oracle Payables at Release 12.2, there are some really exciting enhancements becoming available. For Payables approvals, in version 12.2.2, there will be the ability to transfer approval ownership of a supplier invoice. And in version 12.2.4, there will be the capability for invoice approvals to be performed in parallel. This should really help to speed up approval processing time. The Payables Enterprise Command Center is available from release 12.2.8 onwards. This command center and its associated dashboards provide near real-time data. This means that the data can be updated minute by minute. It has the capability to massively reduce the need to run concurrent requests to obtain key decision-making information, particularly around period close. Also, the charts, graphs, and key reporting information shown on the dashboards make it much easier for teams to identify and prioritize their work tasks. So, for example, it makes it easier to identify which invoices on hold have the largest early payment discount, and therefore which invoices the team members need to target first when releasing the holds. The dashboards that are available for payables from version 12.2.8 are a supplier balance dashboard, which provides a view of supplier balances and invoice aging, and also 7 days invoice history can be viewed as well. There will be a holds dashboard providing information about invoice aging, invoices on hold, top hold reasons, and available discounts for invoices on hold. There is direct integration with the Payables invoice workbench, and I would expect this to improve the speed at which invoice holds are resolved. There will also be a discounts opportunity dashboard. This will include graphs with discount opportunities by date, which can also be drilled down to enable effective prioritization of invoice payments and to gain supplier discounts. From release version 12.2.9, the Payables Period Close dashboard becomes available. For me, I feel that this particular dashboard has the potential to be transformational for payables, particularly around the period close process. It's going to provide data to support investigation into potential period close issues, such as unaccounted transactions, accounting errors, and journals which have not been transferred to the general ledger. It will enable payables staff to take a more proactive approach to period close management. I'm going to show you a short demonstration of the Payables Enterprise Command Center and its associated dashboards. So here we are in the Payables Enterprise Command Center, and the dashboard that it defaults to is the supplier balance dashboard. And across the top of here, we can see that we've got access to 10 different ledgers, and we can refine our information and select a specific ledger, which is the Vision Services ledger. As you can see, the dashboard has refreshed and it's now showing data relevant to the Vision Services ledger. We've got our supplier balance at 21 million. You can see the employee balance at just under 42,000. If there was a value of unapplied prepayments, then that would be shown next. and our past due invoices balance, plus if we had any invoices due in 7 days, the balance would be there as well. If I scroll down to the bottom of the dashboard, then we've got a list of open invoices, and we can click on the next tab and view invoices paid in the last 7 days. It's also possible to use the charts to filter on the data in the dashboard. So using the aging of past due invoices chart, we've clicked on the over 90 days overdue bar, and this has refreshed the information in the dashboard. So now at the bottom of the dashboard, we've got a list of all the open invoices that are over 90 days overdue for the operating unit Vision Services. So here, let's click on the supplier staples and we'll filter on them. So now we've filtered and we can see that there are 3 invoices for the supplier staples that are over 90 days overdue. If we want to look at those specific invoices, then we can click on the invoice number and that will take us directly to the invoice workbench. You'll see that a bit later in this video. Here you can see the invoice on holds dashboard, and we've got a few different hold types shown. Let's have a look at the holds for the federal supplier, as they have clearly got the most outstanding. So the dashboard automatically refreshes and it shows us that they've got 499 line variance holds. And if we scroll down, we can see those individual invoices, we can see the specific hold details, and if there were any discounts on those invoices, we could see those. So let's take a look at the holds on a particular invoice. To do that, we simply click on the invoice number, and then it routes us directly through to the invoice workbench. It's totally seamless and there's no need to change responsibility. Let's take a look at the holds. So there's just one hold on this invoice. We've completed our investigation and done any action needed, then we can just exit out of the invoice workbench. Takes us straight back into the dashboard without even having to do any changes of responsibility. It's using the same security settings as Oracle eBusiness Suite, so there's no additional security setup required, and it means that the users see only the data that they're supposed to see. To me, I think this would be really useful for payables teams to be able to proactively manage supplier discounts. You can see here that if we had data populated, you'd see the discounts available in the next 7 days, and you'd have some chart data here as well, which would really help you to be able to identify and drill down on where your areas of focus need to be. Now let's move to the period close dashboard. We've got key business information again along the top, and we've got the ability to filter down the side. Okay, let's try filtering on a specific period, the period January 2020. So the dashboard refreshes and we've got no unaccounted events in January 2020 for that ledger. So let's remove that filter. So let's have a look at the accounting errors. To do that, we just click on accounting errors, the dashboard refreshes, and then we can see by the chart that it's a number of payment events that are in the process status of invalid. At the bottom of the dashboard, we can see a list of the specific payment events that are in the invalid status. And if we want to examine those in any more detail, then we could click on the transaction numbers. Let's move on and take a look at the receivables changes in Release 12.2. And Oracle have introduced some new capabilities to support receivables teams in reducing their period close timescales. The first of these is a new report, Sweep Invalid Distributions. This report shows the details of the accounting exceptions that may hold up the period close and therefore require investigation and action. The report can be used to assess what action needs to be taken to resolve the exception, with the option of sweeping to the next period and posting a manual journal to the current period. From version 12.2.8, the Receivables Enterprise Command Center dashboards become available, providing information such as the receivables outstanding balance, payment history, transactions aging, and much more. In version 12.2.9, the Receivables Period Close dashboard becomes available. This dashboard provides information that is relevant to the receivables period close process, and also gives the ability to export dashboard table data as a .csv file, which means that the information can then be populated and manipulated in Excel. The period close dashboard and its drill down capability have the potential to increase efficiency and significantly reduce the admin burden for receivables teams, so they're well worth considering. In version 12.2.2, lockbox processing of receipt data has been automated via the availability of a concurrent request, which can be used instead of initiating receipt matching from within the user interface. This concurrent request should help to speed up the receipting process. In version 12.2.5, there are two new methods made available for applying cash receipts. These are Levenstein and knapsack. Using the Levenstein distance algorithm for matching scores automatically applies the receipt based on a score threshold. This means that receipts can be prioritized and applied more effectively. The second method applies receipts by knapsacking the receipt amount against open customer transactions. To put this in another way, it means that the process is looking at a combination of receipts and establishing the best match against available transactions. Both of these methods can help to improve success rates in automated receipt matching, so they're well worth investigating. So now let's take a look at a short demo of the Receivables Enterprise Command Center. So here we've got the outstanding receivables dashboard, and we're filtering on the ledger vision operations. We've got the key receivables information shown across the top, and we can see from the charts the transactions aging and top past few customers information. We can see that for Vision Construction, we've got 1.9 million over 90 days outstanding. So let's take a look and drill down further if we examine Hillman and Associates and take a look at what's happening with that customer. So towards the bottom of the dashboard, we've now got a transaction list which has been refreshed to show the data specific to Hillman and Associates. You can click on the drop down to select various different types of information, and we can click on the preview icon, which shows us a copy of the invoice that went out to our customer Hillman and Associates if we wanted to do a bit more analysis around the specific line items on that invoice and what was actually ordered by the customer. If we go back to that transaction list and look at that specific transaction by clicking on the transaction number, This will integrate directly in the receivables workbench. Okay, so we can see all the specific transaction information. Say, for example, we can look at any credits, perform corrections to line items, quantity values, and the integration means that there's no need to manually switch responsibility. In the dashboard, we can also refine our data further by using the information on the left. So we can filter by transaction information, transaction number, transaction date, or even amount. Let's have a look at the next dashboard, which is the billing process dashboard. So we've got two ledgers we're looking at here, and we're going to focus on the Vision Operations ledger again. So in our charts, we can see incomplete transactions, and in the other chart, we've got any pending adjustments. So we've got some pending adjustments for the customer business world. We can see that we've got 240 import errors, and towards the bottom of the screen, you've got the specific details of the incomplete transactions, line by line. We can see any import processing errors, and we can see specifically what they were. If we wanted to filter on a specific error type, then we can just click on that message. So let's have a look at that transaction 12004. This will take us into receivables, into the receivables manager responsibility, and we can see that manual transaction to customer CIC Management Incorporated. So we didn't have to switch responsibility, it automatically knew which responsibility was required to view that transaction information. We can, if we want, export that transactions list into a .csv file if you wanted to do some manipulation of the information in Excel. So let's go now and have a look at the payment process dashboard. This is going to show us information related to the receipts. So the dashboard is showing us that there are only 2 unapplied receipts for a value of over 5 million, and it's directing us to look at Hillman and Associates. So if we filter on them, then it becomes clear that 5 million is actually only one receipt. So we can do some further analysis now and look at that actual receipt in receivables and do some further analysis on that to see why it hasn't been applied. So here's the receipt, and we can see exactly the same information as we would if we went directly into that responsibility. Okay, so let's come out of here and we'll return back to the dashboard. As well as unapplied receipts, we can also look at remittances that require attention, as well as lockbox errors. Okay, so let's move on and let's have a look at the payment history dashboard now. Again, for the same ledger, Vision Operations, And at the top of the dashboard, you can see the key data in relation to payment history. So we've got weighted average days paid, weighted average days delinquent. We've got the number of paid receivables transactions, and if there were any applied receipts, then they would be shown there as well. The weighted average days paid and the weighted average days delinquent data is also represented here visually in these two charts. In the lower portion of the dashboard, we've got information specifically about paid transactions, and then on another tab, we've got payments information. You can use the headings across the top to reorder the data that's in that table. And of course, on the left-hand side of the dashboard, you can also filter using specific criteria. I think all this kind of information in this dashboard is useful for collection teams. Say if they're trying to do some analysis around payment trends for a specific customer, and understanding the delinquency behaviour of a specific customer. Let's now take a look at the period close dashboard. So in the period close dashboard, we've got information here that's going to help receivables teams to proactively manage issues that could potentially hold up period close. So we've got unaccounted events, we've got draft accounting, accounting errors, and untransferred journals. Let's have a look at some accounting errors. In the chart, we can see that we've got invalid receipts that have been created. And at the bottom of the dashboard, we can see specifically what those receipts are, and we can see some more detail about them. This unapplied receipt here on the second line, it's showing as unapplied cash. So we could use the dashboard to help us understand why that receipt is showing as unapplied cash. We're going to be producing a video that goes into more detail about this dashboard and the other enterprise command centers and dashboards that are available. So don't forget to keep an eye on our website and our YouTube channel. Let's take a look at the changes for advanced collections in Release 12.2. Release version 12.2.3 for advanced collections provides a new concurrent request called Put Strategy on Hold/Release. This enables a hold to be placed or released on individual collection strategies, or alternatively, across all or specific operating units. This will be useful for collections teams, say for example if it's identified that a collection strategy is not having the required impact and therefore needs to be replaced or revised. From version 12.2.4, improved work item management is available. Work items, promises to pay and collection strategies can all be automatically reassigned to an alternative collector using a new concurrent request called Synchronize Collector Work. This could be really useful, say for example, if a collector goes off on long-term sick or if there's a redistribution of work within the collections team. From Release 12.2.6, it will be possible to use grouping and aggregation to enable analysis of related accounts by either collection strategy, collector, or score. Also available at this version will be the capability to define strategy actionable work item template rules based on the percentage amount collected. The Enterprise Command Center Receivables dashboards are available from Release 12.2.8. These provide key data and also the capability to support more proactive and preventative collections activities for customer delinquency. The information available in the dashboards includes things like transactions aging, past due balances, highest outstanding balances, and weighted average days delinquent. The data provided is near to real time, meaning that changes can be reflected minute by minute, which is a lot quicker than running a concurrent request, which only provides a snapshot of data at the time it was run. The dashboards can also provide the capability to connect to the advanced collections forms, reducing the amount of navigation and automatically accessing the relevant responsibility. Again, speeding up processing for collections teams. So what are the key benefits of Release 12.2 for organisations using financials? What functionality should you be considering implementing so that your organisation can get the best from it? The online patching capability will really reduce the downtime for business areas, and I'm sure they will notice and appreciate the difference. For organisations using cash management and Oracle payments, then the new ISO 20022 capabilities will be available, and they are really worth considering as they'll be enabling global payments reporting, improved bank reconciliation, and fraud and detection capabilities. The ECCs and dashboards for payables and receivables provide clear opportunities for process efficiencies, as well as encouraging positive behaviours such as proactive resolution of accounting issues and potential period close issues. If you're using payables invoice approvals or you're using general ledger journal approvals, then you should really consider implementing and using the integration with the approvals management engine. This can really help reduce the admin burden and speed up processing, particularly around period close when you've got high volumes of journals being produced and posted, and also around that time you may be wanting to clear an invoice backlog. For receivables and collections, there are opportunities for improving cash flow and proactively managing customer delinquency. For example, the new receipt matching capabilities using Levenstein and knapsacking. Finally, it's worth noting that financials customers also get free use of functionality and an enterprise dashboard for Oracle Property Manager. This enables accounting and reporting for leased assets, for example, equipment such as printers. This functionality is available to financials users without actually having to license the Property Manager product. If you'd like more information or have any specific questions about Release 12.2 changes, then please do go to our website. You can use this QR code which will take you straight there. We'll also be providing further information and videos on Oracle products impacted by Release 12.2. So don't forget to click on subscribe and then on the bell in YouTube to receive updates when we make further videos available. You can also add comments and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Finally, here are some sources of further information.